In the world of true crime and unsolved mysteries, survival is rare and impossible survival, even rarer. But every once in a while, a story appears that seems to defy every law of nature, every rule of logic, and every conclusion investigators try to reach. Today, we're exploring one such story, a case where a lone survivor walked out of a situation that no human being should have lived through, and yet somehow he did. This is the chilling mystery of Daniel Reeves, the man who survived the impossible and left behind more questions than answers. Daniel Reeves was a 32-year-old engineer from Colorado. He was a quiet, introverted guy, a weekend hiker, but not some extreme adventurer. He wasn't reckless, and he wasn't the kind of person who took unnecessary risks. On March 18, 2014, Daniel set out on a solo trip into the San Juan Mountains, a region known for its sudden storms and brutal terrain. But he wasn't inexperienced. He left a detailed itinerary, packed proper winter gear, and even checked in with the park office before hitting the trail. Everything about his trip was completely normal, until it wasn't. When Daniel failed to return home, a massive search operation began. For 5 long days, rescuers combed the mountain range. They had helicopters, search dogs, thermal scans, everything. But they found nothing. No footprints, no broken branches, no sign of a campsite. It was as if he had just vanished into thin air. Eventually, rescuers had to suspend the search. Daniel was officially declared missing and presumed dead, but the real story was only just beginning. 12 days after the search was called off, a man walked into a gas station 38 miles away from Daniel's last known location. He was barefoot, frozen, and dangerously dehydrated, covered from head to toe in scratches and bruises. It was Daniel. He collapsed right there on the floor. And when paramedics arrived, they found something deeply disturbing. Daniel's body temperature was so low, it suggested he had been exposed to freezing conditions for days. His feet were so damaged they looked almost unhuman, according to one report. But here's the most shocking detail. Daniel had lost 15 pounds, had severe sun exposure, and showed signs of malnutrition. Yet he was found in an area where no storms, no extreme temperatures, and no harsh conditions had been recorded during the entire time he was missing. Something just didn't add up. After waking up in the hospital, Daniel could only recall fragments of what happened. He remembered a bright flash of light, waking up at night in a forest he didn't recognize, hearing voices but seeing no one, and a constant, chilling feeling of being watched. He said he walked 4 days, feeling like he was going in the wrong direction. But there was one detail that sent investigators into a state of total confusion. Daniel claimed that for several nights he wasn't alone. He said that someone or something left food for him while he slept. It wasn't animals, and it wasn't humans he could identify. Just small bundles of food wrapped in leaves, placed neatly beside him. Daniel said, "I thought I was dying, but something out there kept me alive." Investigators dismissed this as hallucinations, probably caused by hypothermia and dehydration. But then came the part that no one could explain. Daniel remembered seeing two large, blurry silhouettes watching him from a distance every single night. Search teams went back to the mountains to try and retrace Daniel's path, but what they found was impossible. First, there was the terrain he supposedly crossed. Daniel ended up on the complete opposite side of the mountain range, a route that would have required steep climbing, technical gear, and crossing frozen rivers. He would have had to hike at least 50 miles. But Daniel had none of that equipment, and his feet showed he had been walking barefoot for days. Second, despite there being snow in certain areas, they found 0 footprints matching his size. Not even a partial print. Third, weather reports confirmed mild conditions during the days Daniel was missing, which completely contradicted his frostbite and severe hypothermia. And finally, the food mystery. To this day, no one has been able to explain the bundles of food Daniel described. There were no other hikers, no campers, and no shelters within 20 miles of where he was found. It was a survival story that simply should not have happened. The case quickly became one of the strangest unsolved survival events in Colorado history. Experts started presenting theories, but none of them could fully explain what happened. Some believe he just suffered from disorientation and hypothermia, wandering aimlessly for days until he found help. But other experts argue that hypothermia alone can't explain a 38-mile displacement across such deadly terrain. Another theory suggests Daniel might have been abducted by someone and later released. But there were no vehicle tracks, no other human evidence, no ransom demand. And his injuries weren't consistent with being restrained. Local folklore even talks of forest watchers, spirits believed to guide lost travelers. But this remains purely a myth. Some psychiatrists believe his mind blocked out the traumatic events, a kind of amnesia. But again, the physical survival itself defies all explanation. This leads us to the internet's favorite theory. Daniel was watched and maybe even helped by something not of this world. Daniel himself refused to ever talk about the silhouettes again. To this day, Daniel Reeves' survival remains one of the most baffling cases in modern history. A man walks into a mountain range, disappears for nearly 2 weeks, survives conditions no person should survive, and returns with memories too fragmented, too surreal, and too impossible to make any sense of. The human body can endure a lot, but Daniel's story crosses into a realm that even science can't fully understand. Until new answers appear, this remains one of the most chilling cases of impossible survival. Thanks for watching.